Chapter 1. The Power Within. Realizing you are the creator. There's a quiet moment, often when life slows just enough for you to notice it, where a voice, not loud, but certain, stirs inside. It whispers, "There is more. You are more." And for a flicker of a second, you believe it. Then the noise comes back. Emails, bills, a conversation that went sideways, and that fragile spark, you being the creator of your reality, fades into the background. But here's the truth. That voice was right. You are more powerful than you've been led to believe. And whether you realize it or not, you are always manifesting. Every thought, every belief, every emotional vibration, it's already shaping the world around you. Let's begin there. The hidden engine of reality. Nikola Tesla once said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." This wasn't just poetic, it was prophetic. Your thoughts carry frequency. Your emotions emit vibration. Your beliefs shape perception, and perception, it filters your world. It tells your brain what to notice, what to expect, and what to ignore. That's not some mystical idea, it's neuroscience. The reticular activating system, RAS, a bundle of nerves at the base of your brain, acts like a gatekeeper for what enters your conscious awareness. Ever decided to buy a red car and suddenly saw red cars everywhere? That's RAS in action. Now here's the leap. What if you intentionally programmed your brain to see opportunity? What if you aligned your beliefs, your emotions, and your thoughts, not by accident, but by design? That's when manifestation becomes conscious. That's when life stops happening to you and starts happening through you, from victim to creator. Most people live life as reactors. Something happens, and they respond. Someone disrespects them, they get angry. Money doesn't come, they panic. A dream falls short, they retreat. That's not power, that's programming. But there's a profound shift that occurs when a person finally says, "I create my reality." Not as a hashtag, not as a bumper sticker, but as a bone-deep recognition. When you take radical ownership of your inner world, your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, you start to influence your outer world in ways that feel almost magical, but they're not magic. They're mechanics. Just as a thermostat controls a room's temperature, your internal state sets the tone for what you draw in. Take Oprah Winfrey. Born into poverty in Mississippi, abused in her youth, told she wouldn't amount to anything. But she said something different to herself. She imagined a better life. She dreamed and acted and aligned with the belief that she was meant for more. She didn't manifest success by sitting still. She took full authorship, and that's the difference between daydreaming and manifestation. Ownership. You are always broadcasting. Think of yourself as a radio tower that you're constantly sending out signals through your thoughts, emotions, and actions. What you send, you attract. Not in a spooky way, but in a deeply consistent, energetic way. That if you're broadcasting fear, you'll find things to fear. That if you're tuned into lack, you'll walk past abundance without noticing. If you believe the world is full of opportunity, doors will appear where once there were only walls. This isn't just philosophy, it's biology. According to Dr. Joe Dispenza, a neuroscientist and expert in the science of change, when you change your thoughts and emotions, you rewire your brain. He explains that thoughts are the language of the brain, and emotions are the language of the body. When both align toward a desired outcome, your body believes that future is already happening. And once your body and mind agree, you start behaving, acting, and perceiving as if that future is real. That's when synchronicities occur. That's when people, ideas, opportunities seem to coincidentally appear. But they're not coincidences, that they're responses to your signal. The problem is not that people lack power, it's that they don't believe they have it. And what you don't believe, you won't. Let's dismantle the myth. You do not need to be special to manifest. You don't need crystals, perfect karma, or a Himalayan retreat. You only need awareness and practice. Athletes visualize their wins before they happen. Entrepreneurs obsess over outcomes before they exist. Artists see the completed painting before brush touches canvas. They create in the invisible, and the visible follows, as Dr. Wayne Dyer said. You'll see it when you believe it. Why this isn't wishful thinking? Maybe you've been burned before. You tried manifestation and nothing happened. You made a vision board and waited, and life looked the same. That's not your fault. You were taught fragments. You were told to think positive, but not how to shift your subconscious beliefs. You were told to visualize, but not how to align emotionally. You were told to trust, but not how to act. This book is different that you'll get the blueprint. But for now, know this. You are the creator of your reality. Every moment is clay. Every choice is a brushstroke. And when you reclaim your power, not just intellectually, but energetically, you shift from being a passenger to being the architect, and one gives you permission. You take a thought experiment. Let's do something right now. Close your eyes for 10 seconds. Now imagine a moment, real or imagined, where you felt powerful, not controlling, but aligned, strong, calm, certain. Let that feeling expand in your chest like a warm light. Stay there. That's your baseline. That's what you're returning to again and again throughout this journey. Because manifestation isn't just about having. It's about being. Chapter 2. From Vision to Reality. The Blueprint of Manifestation. There is a moment in every great creation where the thing being born exists only in the mind. The architect sees the building before the foundation is laid. The entrepreneur imagines the company before the product is built. The musician hears the melody before a single note is recorded. This space, between what is and what could be, is sacred. It is the womb of reality. And it's where manifestation begins. Manifestation is not about daydreaming and hoping the universe will drop your desires into your lap. It is a process, a structure, a living blueprint that bridges imagination and reality. And when understood properly, it becomes one of the most practical tools a person can use, not just to get more, but to become more. You see, people who achieve what others only dream of aren't lucky. They've simply mastered the process, often intuitively, of aligning vision, belief, emotion, and action. And the truth is, anyone can learn it. That will move beyond cliches and Instagram mantras, but will walk the ground floor of how manifestation works. Why some people seem to manifest effortlessly and why others get stuck. This is the operating system underneath the law of attraction, stripped from mysticism and rebuilt with psychological insight, energetic principles, and behavioral science. Let's build from the foundation. It all begins with vision, not vague hoping. Not, it would be nice if, thoughts. Vision is a vivid, emotionally charged picture of the life you want to live. And here's what most people get wrong. They think they need to know how first. They wait for the strategy before committing to the desire. But vision doesn't ask for the how. It asks for clarity. When Martin Luther King Jr. stood before the Lincoln Memorial and declared, "I have a dream," he wasn't reading a policy document. He painted a picture of children holding hands of justice, rolling down like water of a future unseen, but deeply felt. And that vision moved a nation. Your life is no different. You don't need to know how you'll get there. You need to know where there is. You need to feel it, see it, hold it in your mind until it becomes more real than your present doubt. Because here's the secret. The subconscious mind can't tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Neuroscience backs this. Studies have shown that when athletes visualize themselves training, down to muscle movement and breath, their brains light up as if they were physically performing the task. Visualization literally rewires the brain. It conditions the nervous system for success. And when the vision is strong, the body follows. The mind begins seeking confirmation. Your reticular activating system starts filtering the world to match what it believes is important. Suddenly, opportunities seem to appear. But they were always there. You just weren't tuned to the frequency. Think of vision as tuning the radio dial. If you're set to static, You get noise that if you're tuned to scarcity, you hear limitation, but tuned to the channel of abundance, love, impact, freedom. And that's what you'll start picking up. This isn't imagination. This is how the human brain works. Now, let's talk about emotional charge. A vision without emotion is a dry list, but a vision infused with feeling? That's power. That's fuel. Because emotion is energy in motion, and it's what carries your vision from thought to form. Think of it this way. Vision is the blueprint. Emotion is the electricity. Belief is the foundation. Action is the brick and mortar. Leave one out, and the structure collapses. Use all four, and you build a life. Many people have vision, but it's half-hearted. They say they want more, but inside, they don't feel worthy. Or they're afraid. Or they don't believe it's possible. That emotional dissonance cancels the signal. That it's like sending two opposite commands to the universe. Imagine telling a GPS, "Take me to Paris," but your coordinates say stay home. The universe, and your subconscious, follows the stronger signal. And emotion is always stronger than thought. So when your vision is infused with joy, gratitude, anticipation, even before it arrives, you're aligning with the version of yourself who already has it. That's when things start to move. But now we need to address belief. Belief is not trying to convince yourself. It's not positive thinking taped to your bathroom mirror. Belief is what you actually think is possible for you. And here's the kicker. You don't get what you want. You get what you believe. Want $100,000 per year, but believe rich people are greedy. Conflict. Want a soulmate, but believe love always ends in pain. Conflict. Want to be healthy, but identify as someone with a broken body. Conflict. You can't manifest beyond your identity. So the first step isn't just changing what you think, that it's changing who you think you are. Every time you repeat, "I'm not the kind of person who can do that," you're writing a script. And guess what? Your brain is following it. So you've got to rewrite the role. Step into the identity of the person who already has what you want. Act as if, think as if, feel as if. Not because you're faking it, but because your reality rises to meet the version of you that dares to live it. Now, the final piece of the blueprint, aligned action. This is where many manifestation teachings fall apart. They say, just think good thoughts, and the universe will deliver. But intention without movement is inertia. Action doesn't mean forcing. It means listening, tuning into nudges, following intuitive sparks, making the call, writing the email, walking through the door that opens, even if you don't know where it leads. Every result is downstream of action, and action becomes easier when your vision is clear, your emotions are elevated, and your beliefs are aligned. Then you're not pushing. You're flowing. You're pulled by purpose. Steve Jobs once said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward." That's faith in motion. That's manifestation in action. So here's the blueprint. Create a vivid, emotionally charged vision of what you want. Feel it as if it's already done. Uncover and rewrite limiting beliefs that conflict with your vision. Take inspired, consistent action aligned with the version of you who already lives the life you want. Repeat. Evolve. Adjust. But never stop holding the vision. Because the moment you decide to see the world not as it is, but as it could be, you've already begun the process of changing it. And it begins with you. Chapter 3. Belief Systems. The hidden architecture of your life. Imagine waking up in a house you didn't design. Every room is familiar, but slightly uncomfortable. The ceilings are too low. The furniture doesn't fit. You walk around bumping into things, wondering, who built this? Now, imagine realizing you did. Only, you built it when you were too young to understand architecture. That's how belief systems work. They are the invisible walls, foundations, and structures that shape our inner world, persistently, powerfully. And most of us are living inside frameworks we didn't consciously choose. But once you become aware of them, you can change them. And when you change your beliefs, you don't just redecorate your life. You rebuild it from the ground up, that we are born wide open. Children believe in magic, in possibility, in their own boundless worth. Watch a toddler learning to walk. They fall and fall and fall, but they never say, maybe walking's just not for me. That belief, I can learn this, is natural. But then something happens that we absorb, that we watch our parents stress over money, that we hear authority figures say we're too loud, too much, not smart enough. We experience rejection, failure, ridicule, and belief by belief. The house is built by age 7. Most of our core beliefs are in place, and we live the rest of our lives inside that architecture. Unless we wake up, that here's the shocking part. Your beliefs operate mostly unconsciously. You may say you want wealth, love, or success, but if deep down you believe you're unworthy, or that people like you don't get that lucky, your subconscious will sabotage it every time. That it's not personal, that it's programming. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, the uncomfortable tension between what you desire and what you believe to be true. And your subconscious, like a loyal computer, runs whatever code it was given until you rewrite it. This is why people plateau, that it's why they almost succeed, then collapse, that it's why someone wins the lottery and loses it all within years. They have money, but not the belief system to sustain it. Your outer reality can never consistently outperform your inner identity. Take the example of Jim Carrey. Long before fame, he wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, dated it for the future, and kept it in his wallet. But here's the deeper truth. That act wasn't about the money. It was about aligning his beliefs with his vision, that he rehearsed the feeling of success so consistently that it became familiar to his subconscious. And the brain seeks familiarity. It doesn't seek success or failure. It seeks what feels known. So if struggle, scarcity, or rejection feel familiar, guess what you'll unconsciously recreate? This is the trap, but it's also the door, because once you make the familiar uncomfortable and the desired outcome emotionally safe, you begin shifting your baseline. So how do you change beliefs? Not through willpower alone, not by slapping affirmations on top of trauma. You become conscious, you dig, you question, you rewire. Here's the process. 1. Identify the belief. Start by noticing patterns. What area of your life feels stuck? Now ask, what would someone have to believe to keep repeating this? For example, if you keep sabotaging relationships, maybe the belief is, I'm not lovable. If you freeze around money, maybe it's, money is dangerous, or I'm not responsible enough. Get honest. Dig deep. Don't judge. Just observe. Point 2. Trace the origin. Where did this belief come from? Was it a parent's voice? A schoolteacher's comment? A failure that got embedded as identity? Understanding origin doesn't excuse pain, but it helps you see. It wasn't yours to begin with. You inherited it. You absorbed it, but you don't have to keep it. Point 3. Challenge the belief. Ask, is this absolutely true? Could the opposite also be true? Find counter evidence. Even small things. If the belief is, I always mess up, recall moments when you succeeded, even briefly. This begins the process of cognitive restructuring. Point 4. Replace with empowering truths, not fluffy affirmations, but believable, upgraded perspectives. Instead of, I am a millionaire, try, I'm learning to master wealth. Instead of, I love myself unconditionally, try, I'm practicing deeper self-respect. The brain accepts what feels real. Meet it where it is, but lead it forward. Point 5. Repetition and emotion. Beliefs are formed through repetition and strong emotional experience. To change them, you need both. Visualize the new belief daily. Feel it in your body. Rehearse it until it becomes your new default setting. Neuroscience supports this. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new neural pathways, is activated by focused attention and emotional intensity. You're not stuck. You're rewiring. Here's a metaphor. Your mind is like a garden. Beliefs are seeds. Some were planted by others. Some grew wild. Some are nourishing. Some are choking your growth. You can't manifest new fruit from poison-soiled so pull the weeds. Plant intentionally. Water daily with thought, emotion, and action. Let's look at a real-world example. Sarah, a 34-year-old designer, wanted to launch her freelance business. She had talent, drive, and a vision, but every time she got close, she pulled back. Undercharged, delayed pitches, let fear drive. Working with a coach, she uncovered a belief. If I shine too bright, I'll be rejected. It traced back to childhood. Every time she succeeded, her siblings mocked her she dimmed. But as an adult, that belief was costing her her dream. Once she saw it, challenged it, and replaced it with my success inspires others, everything shifted. Within 6 months, her income doubled. Clients found her. Confidence grew. Same talent, new beliefs, new results. You don't manifest what you say. You manifest what you believe. But belief is not fixed, it's fluid, it's moldable, it's yours to sculpt. The hidden architecture of your life is always under construction. Will you build a prison or a palace? The choice, as always, is yours. Chapter 4. Emotions as fuel, aligning energy with intention. Close your eyes for a moment and remember the last time you felt fully alive. Not just content, but electric. Maybe it was falling in love, finishing a race, standing atop a mountain, hearing yes after risking everything. That pulsing heat in your chest, that rush of certainty, that feeling like life was coursing through you, not just around you. That's emotion. And that, more than strategy, more than willpower, is what fuels manifestation. Thoughts are the blueprint. Beliefs are the framework. But emotion is the engine. It's what turns a quiet intention into a magnetic signal. This isn't just poetic. It's energetic. It's biological. It's real. Science tells us that the human heart emits an electromagnetic field up to 3 feet outside the body, and that field changes depending on your emotional state. According to the HeartMath Institute, feelings of gratitude, joy, and love create coherent, orderly patterns in both the brain and heart, essentially tuning your body into alignment. What does this mean practically? It means when you feel elevated emotions, your entire system becomes more harmonious, creative, and responsive. And when you feel contracted, fear, shame, doubt, you send a scattered, incoherent signal it's like tuning a radio. Emotion dials in the frequency, and you only receive what you're tuned to. This is why people who try to think positive but feel negative rarely see change. Your thoughts are only as powerful as the emotion that backs them. And the universe, if you want to call it that, responds to your dominant emotional state, not your fleeting mental affirmations. Let's break this down. Every emotion has a frequency. You can feel it. Gratitude feels expansive. Shame feels heavy. Joy makes your body lift. Fear pulls you inward. Dr. David Hawkins, in his work Power versus Force, mapped a scale of human consciousness based on emotional energy. At the bottom are guilt, shame, and apathy. In the middle, anger, pride, and courage. At the top, love, joy, peace, enlightenment. His research suggests that higher frequency emotions literally change the energetic impact we have on others and the world. When it comes to manifestation, here's the key question. What emotional fuel are you using to power your intention? Are you desiring from desperation or from inspiration? Are you trying to manifest to escape something or to expand into something? Because fear-driven intentions rarely yield freedom-driven results. Let's look at 2 people with the same goal. Both want to start a business. Point 1 says, I need to make money because I'm drowning. The other says, I want to create something that excites me and serves others. Same outer action, different emotional frequency, different results. The first person emits anxiety. They'll chase. They'll force. They'll burn out. The second person radiates purpose. They'll attract. They'll flow. They'll persist. Emotion shapes momentum, and momentum shapes manifestation. But what if your dominant emotions aren't elevated? What if you're stuck in doubt, sadness, frustration? Good news. You don't need to fake joy to manifest. You only need to shift up the scale. You don't jump from fear to ecstasy in a day, but you can move from fear to courage, from hopelessness to curiosity, from anger to determination. It's a climb. And every shift in emotion raises your vibration, increases your clarity, and enhances your ability to perceive opportunities. So ask yourself, what's the next best feeling I can access right now? Not the perfect one. The next best one. Start there. Let's talk about gratitude. Gratitude is the shortcut emotion. When truly felt, not mechanically listed, gratitude immediately shifts your state. Why? Because it trains your mind to focus on what's already working, which signals safety and abundance to your nervous system. This matters because the subconscious resists change when it feels unsafe. Gratitude creates internal safety. It says, I have, I receive, I trust. And when your body believes it's already blessed, it becomes a magnet for more. Try this. Before visualizing your goal, spend 60 seconds feeling gratitude for something simple. Warm sunlight, clean water, a deep breath. Notice the shift. Now visualize from that emotional place that you'll find it sticks deeper. It feels more real. It engages the whole nervous system. But that's alignment. Now, let's address a common trap, emotional bypassing. This happens when people try to slap a smile over real pain. They suppress, pretend, love and light their way through trauma. That's not alignment. That's avoidance. Real manifestation doesn't deny emotion. It honors and integrates it. Anger can be fuel. Sadness can reveal longing. Fear can highlight what matters most. Every emotion has a message. Every feeling is feedback. The key is not to live inside your emotions forever, but to listen, learn, and move forward. Use them, but don't be used by them. Let's look at a story. Isaac, a former client of a business coach, came in with a clear goal. He wanted to grow his consulting firm to 6 figures. He had the strategy, the skills, the network, but he was stuck. When they dug deeper, they found his dominant emotional state wasn't excitement or trust. It was guilt. Guilt for making more than his parents ever had. Guilt for outpacing friends. Guilt for being ambitious. So every time he reached a breakthrough, he'd pull back unconsciously. Emotionally, once he worked through that guilt, felt it, forgave it, released it, he began taking bolder action. Within a year, his income tripled. Not because he changed his strategy, but because he changed his emotional permission. How do you align energy with intention on a daily basis? Try this simple framework. 1. Set the intention. What do you want to experience or create? Be clear, specific, grounded. Point 2. Choose the emotion. What would it feel like to already have that? Joy, freedom, confidence, peace. 3. Rehearse the feeling. Close your eyes. Imagine it's already done. Feel it in your body. Let it rise. Amplify the sensation. Point 4. Act from that state. Send the email. Make the call, not from fear, from alignment. This emotional rehearsal changes everything. You're no longer reacting to the world, you're transmitting to it, and the world will respond, not to your words, but to your energy. Emotion is not a bonus to manifestation. It's the battery. It's what turns ideas into motion, motion into momentum, and momentum into miracles. So if your goals feel distant, don't try harder, feel deeper. Because when your heart and intention beat in rhythm, the universe hears you loud and clear, and it listens. Chapter 5. Visualization that works. Seeing is creating. Close your eyes. Now imagine standing in a room filled with sunlight. You see your future self, calm, confident, fulfilled. You look around and notice every detail. The clothes, the environment, the posture, even the energy in the AI or .it feels real. That's not just imagination, that's creation. because the mind doesn't know the difference between something vividly imagined and something real. And the more clearly you can see it in your mind, the more effortlessly you begin to move toward it in life. Visualization, when done correctly, is not daydreaming, that it's mental rehearsal, that it's a practice used by Olympic athletes, top entrepreneurs, Navy SEALs, and high-performance creatives, that it's not mystical, that it's neurological. And it works. The science behind the magic. Let's start with the facts. Functional MRI scans show that when a person imagines performing an action, the same brain regions activate as when they actually do it. When you mentally rehearse something, like speaking confidently on stage, closing a business deal, or running a marathon, your brain is training. This process is called neuroplasticity. It means your brain is rewiring itself, strengthening the connections that support the future you're visualizing. And as those connections get stronger, the actions become easier, more natural, almost automatic. Dr. Tara Swart, a neuroscientist and leadership coach, explains that visualization not only influences your cognitive map, but also primes your brain to recognize resources, people, and opportunities aligned with your vision. It's like you've handed your subconscious a compass, and now, even when you're not thinking about it, it's steering you toward your desired reality. Oh no, visualization is not woo. It's wiring. Here's the problem. Most people visualize the wrong way. They either picture a vague outcome with no emotion, try to force the image without actually feeling it, treat it like a wish, not a decision. They might close their eyes and say, I want a better life, but they don't see it. They don't enter the scene. They don't engage the senses. They don't bring their full energy to the rehearsal. And when visualization is weak, results are weak. The three elements of effective visualization. For visualization to truly work, it must be vivid, emotional, embodied. Let's break each one down. Vivid. Your subconscious speaks in images. The clearer the picture, the stronger the imprint. Where are you in your visualization? What do you see? What are you wearing? What's the lighting like? The temperature? The smell in the air? The more detail you include, the more real it becomes. The more real it becomes, the more the brain says, this is familiar. Let's move toward this. Emotional. A flat picture won't create change. You must feel it. If you're visualizing abundance, feel the security, the freedom, the pride. If you're visualizing love, feel the warmth, the connection, the joy. Emotion is what gives the image depth and power. This triggers the limbic brain, the part responsible for motivation and behavior. When that system lights up, you begin to act like the person you're seeing. You embody the mindset, the decisions, the posture of that version of you. Embodied. Don't just see it. Be in it. You're not watching a movie of your future self. You are your future self. Walk like them. Breathe like them. Speak in their voice. Feel their rhythm. That's what makes the visualization stick. That's what rewires identity. The as-if principle. Dr. Richard Wiseman, a psychologist and author, explored something called the as-if principle. It says, if you act as if something is true, your mind and emotions begin to follow. Smile, even when you don't feel happy, and your mood lifts. Stand with confidence, and you feel more confident. Visualization, when combined with embodiment, activates this principle. You're not pretending, you're practicing, you're rehearsing a future reality until it becomes your new normal. A morning practice that rewires you. Try this for the next 21 days, just 10 minutes each morning. Sit quietly, close your eyes, turn off all distractions. Picture your future self, not in a fantasy, but in a scene grounded in your actual desires. Enter the scene. See it from first person, not as a movie of someone else. Engage all 5 senses. What are you seeing? Hearing? Smelling? Touching? Feel the emotion. Stay there until the emotion rises. Joy, pride, peace, excitement. End with gratitude. Say thank you, as if it already happened. This tells your body, it is done. Do this before checking your phone, before stress floods in. Set your inner thermostat before the day begins, because when you begin the day aligned with your future, you make different choices. You respond instead of react. You notice what serves the vision and what doesn't. You stop chasing and start becoming real-world examples of visualization at work. Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian in history, didn't just train his body, he trained his mind. Before every race, he would visualize the entire event, start to finish, even imagining things going wrong so he could rehearse his calm response. When his goggles filled with water during an Olympic final, he didn't panic, he'd already seen it, he'd already overcome it. In his mind that he won gold. Blind, because his mind knew the way. Visualization isn't optional. It's foundational. If you can't see it, you won't believe it. If you can't feel it, you won't create it. Your mind must arrive before your body ever will. This isn't just about dreaming big, it's about tuning your internal GPS to a destination so clearly that life begins to move in that direction. And here's the beautiful twist. As you visualize, you change. You stop asking if it's possible. You start asking what else is possible. Because once you see yourself succeeding, growing, expanding, you become addicted to truth.to, your potential.to, the version of you that's always been waiting behind the fog of doubt. See it, feel it, step into it, and keep stepping until what once lived only in your mind becomes the life you wake up to every single day. Chapter 6. Taking Inspired Action. Manifestation is not magic. Here's a truth that many avoid because it doesn't glitter, it doesn't trend, and it doesn't fit neatly into a quote card. Manifestation is not magic. It's momentum. It's not sitting cross-legged on a meditation cushion waiting for the universe to drop miracles into your lap. It's waking up every day, fueled by clarity, and moving, even if the path is foggy. Action is not a betrayal of faith. It proves faith. You cannot manifest a life you are unwilling to walk toward. That we live in a culture obsessed with shortcuts, hacks, secrets, 3 steps to overnight success. But real transformation, the kind that moves mountains and changes identities, requires more than dreaming. It demands doing, not random, frantic doing, not hustle for hustle's sake, but inspired action. There's a world of difference between the two. What is inspired action really? It's not grinding through resistance with clenched teeth and caffeine. Inspired action comes from alignment, not anxiety. It feels purposeful, intuitive, charged. It often appears as a whisper, not a shout. It's the nudge to reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in years. It's the idea that wakes you up at 3 a.m. and won't leave you alone. It's the feeling that says, turn here, even if logic disagrees. And when you follow that feeling, even in small ways, you build a bridge between the invisible and the tangible. Let's dismantle a myth. Manifestation is not passive. The word itself comes from the Latin manifestar, which means to make clear, to make visible. To manifest is to bring forth, to birth an idea into form. Nothing is born without labor. No dream is built without effort. But this effort doesn't have to feel heavy. It can feel like flow. You've probably felt it before. Those days when everything clicks, when ideas come faster than you can write them down, when the right people show up, when you lose track of time because you're in it. That's inspired action in motion. It's work, but it doesn't feel like struggle. It's movement, but not panic. It's the universe responding to your readiness. Faith without works is dead. That phrase comes from scripture, but its wisdom is universal. You can pray, meditate, and visualize all you want, but without movement, nothing happens. Think of a seed. You can believe in the sunflower all day long, but until you place the seed in soil, water it, give it light, it won't grow. Intention is the seed. Emotion is the sunlight. Belief is the soil. Action is the water. Without it, the dream stays buried. Now, let's be real. Action isn't always glamorous. Sometimes inspired action looks like. Showing up at the gym when motivation is gone. Sometimes, it's sending your 30th job application after 29 rejections. Sometimes, it's sitting down to write when you feel blocked, stuck, and full of doubt. But you do it anyway. Not because you feel like it, but because you're committed to who you're becoming. That's the shift. Manifestation isn't about what feels good, that it's about what aligns. And often, what aligns feels uncomfortable because it stretches you beyond your current self. How to recognize inspired action. Ask yourself, does this move me closer to the person I want to become? Does it feel expansive, even if it's scary? Do I feel a quiet yes beneath the fear? Inspired action may trigger discomfort, but it rarely feels destructive. It calls you forward. It builds something. It connects dots. It creates traction. And that traction, however small, is what begins to shape reality. The compound power of small steps. There's a reason most people don't manifest what they want. It's not because they're not worthy. It's because they're waiting for the big moment, the big break, the perfect timing. But manifestation lives in the micro movements, the email, the phone call, the decision to say no, the habit repeated without applause. You may not see change overnight, but you change. And as you change, so does your vibration. Your perception sharpens. Your confidence grows. And the world starts treating you like the person you've been rehearsing in your mind. The results don't create the identity. The identity creates the results. And identity is reinforced by action. The universe responds to boldness. Author and spiritual teacher Julia Cameron once wrote, "Take a step toward the gods, and they will take 10 toward you." This is a truth echoed across traditions. When you move toward your dream, even in uncertainty, life rearranges around your movement. Doors open, not because you forced them, but because you showed readiness. Think about it. Why would opportunity knock at a door that never opens? Your action signals your willingness to receive. It tells the universe, I'm serious. And seriousness attracts resources. When the path isn't cleared, here's what most people get stuck on. They wait for full clarity, for the plan, the guarantee. But the path is often revealed through the walking. You don't need to know all 20 steps. You need to take the next right one. Action breeds clarity. Clarity fuels confidence. Confidence attracts outcomes. That's the cycle. And it begins with one move. Let's take a real story. Jason, a musician, dreamed of playing full-time, but worked a job he hated. He visualized, journaled, and meditated for months. But nothing shifted. One day, he got the idea to post a 60-second video of him playing on TikTok. He almost didn't do it. It felt small, pointless, unworthy. But he did it, and it blew up. Then came a second video, then a record label message, then a licensing deal. Not because he figured it all out, but because he followed a spark. That's inspired action. That's how mountains move. Here's your practice. Every morning, ask, what one action can I take today that aligns with my vision? Not 10. Not perfect. Just 1.1 email, 0.1 connection, 0.1 new choice. Then take it. Even if it's scary. Even if it's small. Especially if it's small. Because small aligned action, done daily, becomes unstoppable momentum. Manifestation is not magic. It's the dance between imagination and execution, between vision and behavior, between hope and courage. You don't manifest by waiting. You manifest by walking. 0.1 foot in the inner world, 0.1 foot in the outer. And with each step, your dream gets louder, brighter, closer, until one day, it meets you, not because you hoped for it, but because you became it. Chapter 7. Letting Go and Trusting. The Paradox of Manifesting. There's a moment, after the vision is clear, the intention is set, the feelings are aligned, and the actions are in motion, when you must do something that feels utterly contradictory to the entire process. Let go, not in apathy, not in giving up, but in surrender. This is the most misunderstood part of manifestation. People think letting go means abandoning the dream. But in truth, Letting go is what gives it room to breathe. Holding on too tightly to a desire is like clenching your fist around water. The tighter you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. Attachment creates resistance. Letting go is not the end of effort, that it's the release of control, and it's often the very thing that allows what you want to arrive. You've likely felt this paradox before. You try so hard to make something happen, a job, a relationship, a result, but it just won't. Then, one day, you exhale, you stop chasing. You say, fine. If it's meant for me, it will come. And that's when it shows up. Not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped clinging. Manifestation is a dance between commitment and detachment. You commit to the vision. You detach from the timeline, the method, the outcome. Why letting go is so hard that we live in a culture that idolizes control, metrics, planning, guarantees that we're trained to believe that the more we hold on, the more power we have. But that's an illusion. In the realm of creativity, love, healing, success, control often blocks the very flow we're trying to tap into. Letting go feels like a risk. It requires trust in something beyond your current vision, a timeline you don't set, a process you don't fully understand. And that's terrifying for the ego. Because the ego wants certainty. The soul, on the other hand, thrives in surrender, the river and the boat. Imagine standing beside a river that you've built a beautiful boat. Your dream, your plan, your goals. You place it gently in the water, take a deep breath, and step inside. Now, imagine paddling against the current, straining, forcing, fighting to go upstream. It's exhausting. And even if you make progress, it feels heavy and unsustainable. Now picture this. You let go of the oars. You trust the current. You're not passive. You steer when needed. But you're no longer resisting the flow. That's surrendered. That's trust. That's how manifestation accelerates. You are not giving up your power. You're aligning it with something greater. A timing, a rhythm, a wisdom beyond your own. The emotional signature of trust. Letting go has a feeling. It's peaceful. Light. Expansive. It says, this or something better. It whispers, I don't have to chase what's already mine. It knows, if I'm aligned, what I desire is already in motion. Trust doesn't mean passive waiting. It means available receiving. You're open, receptive, grounded. You're not checking the clock. You're not refreshing the page. You're living, becoming, enjoying. And that state, energetically, is a magnet. Letting go is not equal to doing nothing. This is where people get confused. Letting go doesn't mean you stop taking action. It means you stop acting from lack. You stop acting from fear. You stop acting from the belief that if I don't force it, it won't happen. Letting go means you act, but you're not attached. You still send the email. You still show up to the meeting. You still launch the project. But you do it with joy, with trust, without the tight grip of this must go exactly as I planned, or I'll fall apart. You do it because it's aligned, because it's the next right move, and then you release. What you resist persists. Carl Jung said it best. What you resist persists. When we obsessively focus on the absence of what we want, we amplify that absence. When you say, I want love, but you vibrate with loneliness and frustration, you attract more of that vibration. When you say, I want abundance, but you're energetically focused on lack, the universe mirrors that back. Letting go allows you to stop broadcasting need and start radiating trust. Need says, I don't have it. Trust says, it's already mine. And the universe responds to belief, not begging. Letting go of the timeline, this may be the hardest part. You've done the work, you've visualized, felt, acted, and still, no result, at least not yet. This is the sacred space, the gap between planting and harvest. You don't dig up seeds after a week and scream, why aren't you growing? You water, you trust, you allow. Life often delays the dream to prepare the dreamer. What if the delay isn't denial? What if the space is making you stronger, wiser, more aligned? Sometimes you're not waiting on the dream. The dream is waiting on you. Real stories of surrender. Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, spent 2 years hearing no from manufacturers. She visualized. She hustled, but nothing worked. One day, she stopped chasing. She let go. And the next week, she got a call. Not because she gave up, but because she surrendered the how. Jim Carrey once wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered and dated it 5 years into the future. Then he let go that he continued acting, improving, building. Exactly 5 years later, he was cast in Dumb and Dumber. His pay? $10 million. Not coincidence. Not luck. Alignment plus surrender. The practice of letting go. How do you practice surrender? Affirm the trust. Say aloud, daily, I trust the timing of my life. I surrender the outcome. This or something better is already on its way. Detach from the details. Don't obsess over how or when. Stay focused on who you're becoming. Come back to joy. Live your life now. Don't pause your happiness until the goal arrives. Let joy be your proof of faith. Let discomfort pass through. Surrender can bring up fear. Sit with it. Feel it. Don't resist it. Let it rise and leave. Celebrate without arrival. Act as if it's already done. Celebrate your clarity. Celebrate your progress. Celebrate the invisible. Letting go is not weakness. It's a courageous act of trust that IT says, I've done my part. Now I'll let life do hers. It's leaning back into the arms of something wiser, something greater, something already working behind the curtain. And when you truly surrender, you begin to realize the dream is not the destination. You are. Chapter 8. Resilience and timing when it doesn't show up. Yet, there comes a moment in every journey where nothing seems to move. You've done the vision boards. You've felt the feelings. You've taken the steps. And still, nothing. Silence. Delay. Emptiness. It's the waiting room of life, and it can feel like the loneliest place in the world. But here's the truth almost no one tells you. Delay is not denial. Resistance is not rejection. The space between desire and manifestation is not a void. It's a forge. And what it forges is you. In these moments, the ego screams. Why hasn't it happened? What am I doing wrong? What if it never comes? But the soul whispers something different. Wait. Grow. Trust. This isn't about passivity. It's about timing. It's about building the resilience required to hold what you're asking for. Because here's the paradox. If your dream arrives before you're ready, it can crush you. The universe isn't just responding to your desire. It's responding to your capacity. Think of a tree. You plant a seed. You water it. You nourish it. But you can't tug the sprout out of the soil and demand it become an oak overnight. Roots must grow first. Quietly. Invisibly. Underground. That's where strength is built. That's where the future is secured. And yet, in this fast-paced world of instant gratification, we've forgotten the sacredness of process. We want harvest without season, arrival without journey, mastery without practice. But if you look at anyone who's built something meaningful, whether it's Oprah Winfrey, who was told she was unfit for TV, or Walt Disney, fired for lacking imagination, you'll see a common thread. They endured the not yet with grace and grit. They didn't let the pause define their worth. They didn't let the delay rewrite their destiny. Instead, they kept showing up, kept building, kept believing, even when there was no evidence to support their faith. Because resilience isn't about never doubting. It's about what you do after the doubt. Do you collapse? Or do you continue? Do you curse the timing? Or do you lean into it? Resilience is the bridge between intention and outcome. It's the muscle you build in the absence of proof. And like any muscle, it strengthens with use. Now, let's be clear, frustration is natural. You're human. You have dreams, timelines, hopes. And when life doesn't move on your schedule, it can feel personal. But feelings aren't facts. Just because something hasn't arrived yet doesn't mean it never will. Just because the phone hasn't rung doesn't mean the call isn't coming. Sometimes, The universe is orchestrating a sequence you can't yet see. The connections, the conversations, the seemingly random detours that become divine setups. And when the pieces click into place, it'll feel sudden, but it never was. This is why timing is sacred. The right thing at the wrong time becomes the wrong thing. A relationship before you've healed becomes chaos. Money before you've mastered self-worth becomes sabotage. Success before you've built inner stability becomes pressure you're not equipped to carry. The universe is not just interested in giving you what you want. It's invested in who you become while waiting for it. And that's the deeper gift of delay. It purifies your desire. It asks, is this still true for you? It peels away the ego's attachments, the performative goals, the shoulds and comparisons. What's left is the purest form of your dream, stripped of urgency, anchored in truth. If you still want it after all that, it's yours in spirit long before it arrives in form. Think of Thomas Edison. 10,000 failed attempts at the light bulb. 10,000 not yets. And yet, he persisted. Not because he enjoyed failure, but because he understood what most forget. Every delay was data. Every no was refinement. Every stall was an invitation to innovate. And so the question is not, why isn't it here yet? But rather, who am I becoming in its absence? If your dream showed up tomorrow, would you be able to hold it, sustain it, nurture it? Or would it collapse under the weight of unprepared hands? This is the season of becoming. The silent work, the unglamorous effort, the daily discipline, the nights when you show up even when no one's watching. Because that's the part of manifestation no one glamorizes, but it's where magic brews. Not the flash, not the viral moment, but the quiet consistency that says, even without results, I still believe. Resilience is not a one-time act. It's a practice. And timing is not punishment. It's precision. The universe doesn't work on panic. It works on preparation. If it's taking longer, it's building deeper. If it's not arriving, it's aligning something better. So breathe. Step back. Zoom out. What looks like stillness may be foundation. What feels like stuckness may be setting. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where you need to be, to learn, to grow, to ready yourself. The manifestation isn't waiting on conditions, it's waiting on you. To root deeper, to trust stronger, to rise anyway. And when it does arrive, you'll look back on this chapter, not with resentment, but with reverence. Because this is where you became the version of yourself who could hold the life you were dreaming of. The not yet is not the end. It's the space where your future is sculpted in silence, where the miracle gathers momentum, where you become more than just someone who wants it. You become someone who's ready for it. Chapter 9. Real stories, real results. How others did it. There's something about real stories that activates belief. It's no longer theory, no longer a nice idea floating in a motivational cloud. It becomes evidence. Proof that manifestation is not just for the few, the lucky, the enlightened. It's for anyone willing to step into alignment, resilience, and trust. It's for you, and them, and all of us. In this chapter, we step into the lives of real people, some famous, some not, who have transformed vision into reality by applying the principles you've been learning. Each story is a window into possibility. Each path is different, but the inner blueprint is remarkably similar. Clarity, energy, action, surrender, and belief. That let's begin with a name almost everyone knows, Oprah Winfrey. She was born into poverty in rural Mississippi, raised by a teenage single mother. She was molested as a child, ran away at 13, pregnant at 14. Her baby died shortly after birth. By all societal expectations, her story should have ended there. But Oprah was different. She always had a vision, blurry at first, but growing clearer with every obstacle. She didn't just dream of being on television. She saw herself owning her stage, speaking to millions, making an impact. And through all the early rejections, being told she was too emotional for news broadcasting, being demoted, replaced, ignored. She held that vision close. Not with desperation, but with certainty. Her first major breakthrough came with the talk show AM Chicago, which she transformed into the Oprah Winfrey Show. The rest is history. But what most don't realize is how deep Oprah's understanding of manifestation goes. She's spoken often about how she visualized everything: her role in the color purple, her own network, even the home she wanted to live in long before it existed. Create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life, she once said, because you become what you believe. Let's move from global fame to quiet power. Consider John, a software engineer from the Midwest who had been working in the same corporate job for 11 years. Burnout, unfulfilled, but afraid to change. He stumbled across a podcast on manifestation and began a simple daily practice. Every morning, he'd write down the life he wanted to live as if it had already happened. Not just the career, but the emotions, the flow of his days, the energy he carried. Slowly, things began to shift, not outside, but inside. He started learning to code new tools in his free time. Launched a tiny product on the side. It failed. Then another. Failed again. But he stayed aligned. Then came product number 3, an AI integration plugin. Within 6 months, it started generating $15,000 a month. He gave notice at his job. Today, he runs a remote-first company with a team of 8, working fewer hours, earning more, and most importantly, feeling fulfilled. He didn't win the lottery. He shifted his identity, took aligned action, and let time do its work. Then there's Marie Forleo, who started her career bartending, waiting tables, doing hip-hop choreography, and trying to figure out why nothing clicked. She had big dreams, but no clear direction. Until one day, she heard an inner voice whisper, "You're meant for more." She took it seriously. She followed every breadcrumb, studied coaching, built an email list from scratch, blogged from her couch. No virality, no shortcuts, but relentless clarity. She wrote in journals, visualized her future business, crafted content like it already mattered. Fast forward, Marie now leads one of the most successful online business education platforms in the world. Her mantra? Everything is figure-outable. That mindset of solution-oriented energy mixed with vision and action is exactly what manifestation requires that we can look across the music industry too. Jim Carrey's story is iconic by now. In the early 90s, broke and unknown, he wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered and dated it 5 years in the future. He visualized receiving it, carrying it in his wallet. During that time, he continued grinding, auditions, rejection, late nights, odd jobs. But the image never left his mind. And just before the 5 years ended, he landed Dumb and Dumber with a $10 million paycheck. Magic? No. Alignment. Consistency. Energy that didn't falter in the face of the unknown. But it's not just celebrities. Let's talk about Alina, a single mom from Eastern Europe. After a divorce and a pile of debt, she felt broken. She didn't believe in manifestation. She believed in survival. But a friend gave her a book, something about rewiring thoughts. She resisted at first. Then, one night, alone in her tiny kitchen, she tried something. She closed her eyes and pictured herself free, living in a cozy home, laughing with her son, doing work she loved. She cried. She kept picturing it every night. Then she started doing small things, selling crafts online, attending free workshops, learning about affiliate marketing. 3 years later, she's running her own handmade business, has paid off all debt, and just moved into the exact apartment she once imagined. It wasn't instant, she says, but it was mine, and every step I felt guided. These stories aren't identical, but the structure beneath them? It's the same. A vision, an emotional connection, a willingness to act, even when the result isn't guaranteed, a trust that grows deeper with time, and most importantly, an identity shift, From someone who hopes to someone who embodies that, we often think manifestation means sitting still and wishing hard. But real results come to those who move with the energy of belief. That movement can be internal or external. It can be a bold leap or a gentle pivot. But it's never passive. It's always engaged. What these stories teach us is that the dream doesn't come fully formed. It comes in fragments, nudges, whispers, rejections that redirect, delays that build character, challenges that clarify what you truly want. Manifestation doesn't give you what you ask for, it gives you what you're ready for. And readiness comes through the stories you live, the energy you hold, the choices you make every single day to if your dream still feels far, don't despair. Let these stories remind you. Others stood where you are. Others doubted. Others waited. But they kept showing up, kept trusting, kept becoming. And so can you. Chapter 10. Wealth, Love, Health. Applying manifestation in every area. What good is a powerful idea if we don't know how to apply it where it matters most? It's one thing to believe in manifestation in theory, in a meditation class, or during a particularly inspired afternoon. It's another thing entirely to bring that belief into the gritty, often chaotic corners of real life. Money problems, heartbreak, illness, insecurity, burnout. That's where the practice becomes transformation. And that's where manifestation becomes not just a mystical idea, but a deeply practical tool. Let's begin with the topic that causes the most tension, desire, and shame: wealth. Money, for many people, is loaded with emotional baggage. We're taught conflicting messages. Wanting it is greedy, having it is unsafe, not having it is failure. It becomes a battlefield of self-worth, survival, and societal pressure. But manifestation invites a shift in perspective. It asks, what if money is just energy? What if it flows toward clarity, service, and alignment, not desperation or control? Manifesting wealth is not about fantasizing over yachts. It's about creating a relationship with abundance. That starts with rewiring your subconscious beliefs. Do you believe you're worthy of ease? Do you treat your finances with respect or avoidance? People like Bob Proctor and Jen Sincero have long emphasized the importance of emotional alignment with wealth. You cannot out-earn your identity. If you subconsciously believe that rich people are bad or money doesn't grow on trees, you'll self-sabotage every time you get close to financial expansion. Practical steps for wealth manifestation begin with intention and clarity. Set a specific goal, not just more money, but a number that excites and stretches you. Then get emotionally connected to it. What would it feel like to have that? Where would you live? How would your mornings begin? What kind of generosity could you offer others? Next, align with action. If you want to manifest financial freedom but never track your expenses or undercharge for your work or avoid difficult money conversations, you're out of alignment. The universe responds to clarity, commitment, and structure. You don't have to know all the how, but you do have to create space for wealth to land, mentally, emotionally, and practically. And then, trust. Many people give up because they don't see instant results. But energy takes time to organize. Just like a seed underground, your financial goals are growing even when you can't see them. Keep watering them. Keep believing. Now, let's turn to love. Perhaps the most sacred and misunderstood realm of all. Whether you're seeking a soul connection, healing a broken relationship, or nurturing the love you already have, the core principle remains. You attract what you are, not what you want, what you are. That means the deepest work in love manifestation is inner. Are you radiating the love you want to receive? Or are you carrying fear, resentment, abandonment wounds, or deep unworthiness? It's not about blame, it's about energy. You can't draw and secure love while you vibrate at the frequency of fear. Dr. Joe Dispenza, known for his work on neuroplasticity and emotional frequency, teaches that the body doesn't know the difference between a remembered emotion and a current one. When you visualize being in a loving, safe relationship and feel it as if it's real, you begin to reprogram your entire being to receive that experience. You literally become a magnet for love, not through neediness, but through resonance that a woman named Rachel once wrote in her journal every night. Thank you for the beautiful relationship I get to experience. We laugh, we grow, we feel safe together. At the time, she was single, heartbroken, and tired of dating. But she didn't write with longing. She wrote with ownership, as if it had already happened. Within a year, she met her now husband in a coffee shop she almost didn't go to that day. Coincidence? Perhaps. But when the inner frequency is aligned, life arranges itself accordingly. That if you're in a relationship, manifestation can help you shift the energy within it. Instead of focusing on what's lacking, focus on what's thriving. Instead of speaking from frustration, speak from vision. Imagine what a connected, passionate, resilient relationship looks like. Feel it. Communicate from that place. Energy leads behavior, and behavior shapes experience. Now, to the final frontier of personal power, health. Our bodies are a direct reflection of our energetic and emotional state. Of course, health is complex. Genetics, environment, trauma, habits all play roles. Manifestation doesn't deny science, it works with it. Think of the groundbreaking studies by Dr. Bruce Lipton, who found that gene expression is influenced by emotional states and beliefs. Or the placebo effect, where patients heal simply because they believe they're receiving treatment. Belief changes biology. That if you want to manifest vibrant health, start by seeing your body not as a problem, but as an ally. Speak to it with love. Visualize vitality. Eat, sleep, and move in ways that communicate self-respect. Even small rituals, like blessing your food or thanking your body after a workout, can send powerful signals to your subconscious mind that you are in partnership with your wellness. That a man named Leo, once bedridden with chronic fatigue syndrome, began a radical new practice. Every morning, he'd close his eyes and picture himself walking, running, playing guitar again. His doctors were skeptical, but he kept at it. He combined visualization with micro-movements, affirmations, and breath work. After 18 months, he was hiking. Today, he runs a coaching practice for others recovering from chronic illness. Was it just the mind? No, it was the mind aligned with consistent effort and deep trust. Manifestation doesn't promise immunity from life's challenges, but it gives you a tool set, a way to engage with money, love, and health from a place of empowerment, not victimhood. It asks, how would your energy shift if you believed that life wanted to support you? How would you move if you knew your dream body, your soul partner, your financial breakthrough was already in motion? You don't manifest by controlling outcomes. You manifest by becoming the version of you who naturally attracts those outcomes. You start showing up differently, thinking differently, feeling differently, and that interchange ripples outward into your world. Wealth, love, and health are not rewards. They're reflections. They mirror your level of alignment with your truest self, and the beautiful part, you don't have to wait. You can begin shifting today, one thought at a time, one feeling at a time, one action at a time. Because the life you want isn't far away. It's just on the other side of the energy you choose to embody now. Chapter 11. Manifesting with Science. What research reveals. For centuries, manifestation was dismissed as superstition, wishful thinking, or spiritual fluff. It was the language of mystics, monks, and metaphysicians, not scientists. But that narrative is rapidly changing. In recent decades, advances in neuroscience, quantum physics, and psychology have begun to reveal something astonishing. The ancient wisdom of manifestation is more than just poetry. It's biology, physics, and psychology at work. The idea that thoughts become things may sound esoteric, but science is increasingly showing us that our internal states, thoughts, emotions, and beliefs deeply influence external reality. Not in some magical, wand-waving way, but through measurable, repeatable mechanisms in the body and brain. Let's begin with neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself based on experience and repeated thought. For much of the 20th century, it was believed the brain was fixed after childhood. But research from neuroscientists like Dr. Norman Doidge and Dr. Joe Dispenza has revealed the opposite. Every thought you think, every image you hold in your mind, and every emotion you feel triggers neurological firing. And what fires together, wires together. What does that mean for manifestation? When you visualize your dream life repeatedly, with feeling, your brain begins to accept it as familiar. You're creating new neural pathways that align with that reality. Eventually, your subconscious begins treating it as normal, not far off, not impossible. You stop pushing the dream away and start embodying it. In essence, you're becoming a neurological match to your desired outcome. The reticular activating system, RAS, is another critical player. This is the brain's internal filter. It decides what information to focus on and what to ignore. You see, the world around you is overflowing with sensory input, and your brain can't consciously process it all. The RAS steps in to filter that ocean of information based on what your subconscious mind considers important. And what determines importance? Repeated focus and emotional significance. If you're constantly thinking, "I'll never find love," your RAS will highlight evidence that supports that belief. Unavailable partners, arguments, loneliness. But if you train your focus on, "I'm becoming someone who radiates love and attracts deep connection," your brain begins scanning for proof of that. You notice people who are kind, situations that support connection, even subtle changes in your own behavior that draw on what you once thought was missing. That's not magic. That's selective attention, and it's programmable. Now, let's dip into quantum physics, which adds a fascinating dimension to this conversation. At the subatomic level, reality behaves very differently from what we see in the physical world. Particles can exist in multiple states at once until they're observed. This is known as the observer effect. In simple terms, conscious observation affects the behavior of matter. This doesn't mean you can sit and stare at your bank account until it fills with cash. But it does imply that the energy of focused attention, the kind that is emotionally charged and sustained, has influence over what collapses from potential into reality. The more coherent and focused your intention, the more you tune yourself to that potential field. The renowned physicist John Wheeler suggested that we live in a participatory universe. That reality is not simply something we observe, but something we are continuously shaping. The thoughts we hold, the expectations we nurture, the stories we tell, these are not passive. They're creative forces. Now, what about epigenetics? This is the study of how your behaviors and environment can influence how your genes are expressed. Dr. Bruce Lipton's groundbreaking work in the biology of belief shows that our biology is not fixed fate. It's responsive. He found that cells exposed to positive emotional environments flourished, while those in stress-filled environments weakened and even became toxic. And these environments weren't just external. They were internal. Beliefs, emotions, mindset. Lipton argues that our perception of the world, whether empowering or fearful, can literally change our biology. So if you're living in a constant state of stress, unworthiness, or lack, your body responds as if it's under threat. Blood flow shifts, immune function weakens, healing slows. But when you live in coherence, gratitude, hope, intention, your body becomes a vessel for growth, resilience, and vitality. Again, this is not a metaphor. This is measurable biology. Let's not forget the research around heart-brain coherence, championed by the HeartMath Institute. They discovered that when you cultivate elevated emotions, gratitude, love, compassion, your heart rhythm becomes more ordered and coherent. This coherence sends signals to the brain, improving decision-making, intuition, and overall health. When your heart and brain are in harmony, you're in a state of energetic alignment. And manifestation thrives in that state. That on the psychology front, we see powerful tools like mental rehearsal, a technique used by elite athletes, surgeons, and even astronauts. When basketball players mentally rehearse free throws, picturing the ball leaving their hands, hearing the swish of the net, feeling the movement, their performance improves almost as much as if they had physically practiced. Why? Because the brain doesn't distinguish between vividly imagined experience and actual experience. So when you visualize wealth, love, health, not as a fantasy, but as a fully lived moment with emotion and detail, you are conditioning your nervous system to perform, receive, and act in alignment with that reality. It's not about faking it. It's about training your inner world to reflect the outer one you desire. Let's address skeptics. Does this mean that manifestation guarantees everything you want will happen exactly as you imagined? No, but it does mean that you dramatically increase the likelihood of success when your subconscious, your energy, your biology, and your behavior are all rowing in the same direction. Manifestation is not superstition. It's the art of aligning your inner reality with your external goals, and neuroscience, psychology, and quantum physics are beginning to prove what mystics have known for centuries. It is, in essence, the science of becoming. And the more we understand that, the more empowered we are to stop waiting for change and start creating it. Chapter 12: The Spiritual Core, Faith, Flow, and Connection. Beneath every technique, every visualization, every journal prompt and action step, there is something deeper, more ancient, something that science can only begin to measure, but the soul recognizes instantly. That something is faith. To manifest is to create, yes, but even more than that, it is to trust, to step into the unknown not as a victim or a puppet of fate, but as a co-creator, hand in hand with a greater intelligence. Some call it God, others, the universe. Some feel it in the stillness of meditation. Others hear it in music, feel it in nature, sense it in the beating of their own heart. Whatever your name for it, this chapter is about that mysterious current, the one that pulls us toward meaning, healing, and wholeness. Without this spiritual foundation, manifestation can become mechanical, shallow, a checklist of desires. But when grounded in faith and connection, manifestation becomes a path to awakening. Let's begin with faith. Not the religious kind, necessarily, but the internal knowing that life is fundamentally supportive, not hostile. That you're not alone, not abandoned, not irrelevant. Faith is the engine behind belief. It's the quiet whisper that says, even though I can't see it yet, I know it's coming. It's what helps you hold your vision when the evidence contradicts it. Dr. Wayne Dyer often said, you'll see it when you believe it. This flips the Western mindset on its head. We're trained to need proof before commitment, outcomes before trust. But spiritual manifestation invites us into the inverse reality. Commit before certainty, believe before proof, give thanks before the blessing arrives. Faith is not naive. It's powerful. It's what allowed Nelson Mandela to endure 27 years in prison while holding a vision of freedom, not just for himself, but for a nation. It's what allowed Oprah Winfrey, raised in poverty and abuse, to believe she was meant for something more. These weren't fantasies. They were anchored knowing. Spiritual vision, and it's not just about grand historical figures. It's about you, your life, your choices, your voice in the world. Faith is what allows you to say, this situation doesn't define me. My circumstances are real, but so is my power to rise above them. Faith also opens the door to flow. This is the state where manifestation begins to accelerate. Flow is that sweet spot where you're not forcing, not resisting. You're simply present, aligned, available. You lose track of time. Your energy expands. Your decisions become more intuitive, less effortful. You feel led rather than dragged. Flow isn't accidental. It's cultivated. It arises when you stop gripping outcomes so tightly and begin to dance with life instead of wrestling it. That might sound poetic, but it has profound practical consequences. When you release the need to micromanage every detail, your energy softens, your mind clears, and solutions appear. Psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who coined the term flow, found that this state of consciousness is linked to higher creativity, happiness, and even peak performance in business and sports. In flow, the self recedes, but not because it vanishes. It merges with something greater. And this brings us to the third piece: connection. That we live in a culture of hyper-individualism, where success is often portrayed as solitary, self-made, and competitive. But manifestation, at its core, is not just about achieving your personal goals. It's about aligning with something larger than yourself. That larger could be the collective good. It could be divine intelligence. It could be your ancestors, your community, your future self. Whatever shape it takes, manifestation grounded in connection becomes not just about getting, but about giving, not just about having, but about becoming. There's a reason people who manifest extraordinary lives often speak of something guiding them. A nudge, a whisper, a serendipity. They followed the breadcrumbs, not because they had a 5-year plan, but because they were listening. Connection deepens when you create space for silence. When you meditate, pray, journal, walk in nature, or simply slow down. The world is loud, but your inner knowing speaks softly. If you never unplug, you'll miss in that stillness. Connection also reveals a truth that can transform your entire approach to manifestation. You are already enough. Yes, set goals. Yes, dream big. But don't do it from lack. Don't chase success to fill a void. Manifest from the wholeness of who you already are, not from the illusion that once I get this, then I'll be worthy. Spiritual manifestation teaches that the external world reflects your inner vibration, but it also teaches that your true nature is already whole, already divine, already loved. The work, then, is not to become something more, but to remember who you really are. From that place, manifestation becomes something richer than just achievement. It becomes service. It becomes artistry. It becomes your soul's fingerprint expressed in the world. So when you visualize, when you affirm, when you take inspired action, do it from the sacred ground of faith, flow, and connection. Know that you are not doing this work alone. Know that unseen forces are responding to your alignment. Know that every step you take from the heart reshapes not just your future, but the collective field of possibility for us all, because true manifestation isn't about proving yourself. It's about expressing yourself. It's not about controlling life. It's about collaborating with it. And the more you live from that place, the more life rises to meet you in ways that feel less like coincidence and more like destiny. Chapter 13. The Master Manifestor's Mindset. Living as if. There is a distinct difference between someone who hopes for a better life and someone who is already living from the frequency of that life. The former waits, wishes, hesitates. The latter decides, embodies, becomes. And this is the mindset of the Master Manifestor, not someone who waits to see before they believe, but someone who lives as if the dream is already real, as if the vision is already manifest, as if the universe is already delivering. This isn't delusion. This is alignment. Most people live in reaction mode. They respond to their current circumstances as if those circumstances are the final truth. They wake up and let the external dictate the internal. If the bank account is low, they feel poor. If the relationship is strained, they feel unlovable. If the job is unfulfilling, they assume they're stuck. The mindset of reaction is logical, but it's not transformational. The Master Manifestor flips this script. They understand that their external world is a reflection, not a dictator. That what's visible now is simply the echo of past beliefs, past actions, past states of being. So instead of reacting to what is, They respond from what will be. They live from the end. This is what Neville Goddard called living in the wish fulfilled. Imagine for a moment that your manifestation is already real. You have the love, the career, the health, the freedom. How would you walk? How would you speak? What decisions would you make today if the future you desire was already here? That's the essence of as if. You begin to show up now as the version of yourself who already has what you want, not to trick the universe, but to match the frequency of the reality you're calling in. Quantum physics echoes this. In the quantum field, all possibilities exist simultaneously. Your desired reality already exists as a potential. It is not created by force. It is accessed through alignment. Living as if is how you tune your energy to that frequency. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions become a vibrational match. Let's make this real. Say you want to manifest a six-figure income. You don't need to fake wealth or spend recklessly to prove your belief. But you do need to embody abundance. Maybe that means dressing with pride, practicing generosity, investing in your growth, or walking into rooms with the confidence of someone who knows their value. You live with the certainty that it's coming, and so you act like someone who already knows where they're going. The brain plays a crucial role here. Through a process called neuropriming, your mind starts to rewire itself according to repeated patterns. If every day you wake up and rehearse the future you want, emotionally, mentally, physically, your brain begins to treat that future as familiar. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between imagined experience and actual experience. So you become more comfortable with success, more likely to make aligned decisions, more confident in your capacity to receive, and then the world begins to mirror that internal shift. But there's a key here. As if doesn't mean pretending. It doesn't mean faking confidence or slapping positivity over pain. It means anchoring your identity in the version of you that already knows. It's a posture of wholeness, not performance. Take the example of an actor preparing for a role. The best performers don't memorize lines and repeat them robotically. They inhabit the character. They ask, what does this person believe? How do they move through the world? What do they fear? What do they desire? And then they live from that space until the performance becomes real. That's what living as if is. It's method acting for the soul. There's a story of a young woman who wanted to attract love. Instead of endlessly swiping through dating apps or lamenting her loneliness, she decided to become the woman who was already loved. She started setting the dinner table for two. She cleared space in her closet. She journaled as if writing to the partner she knew was on the way. And slowly, her energy shifted from lack to expectation, from waiting to welcoming. Months later, they met. Not because of magic, but because she became the version of herself who could hold that kind of love. This doesn't mean every desire shows up instantly. It means you begin to live with the identity of the person who's already there. The manifestation begins with your mindset. And that mindset includes clarity. You know what you want and why. Conviction. You move with belief, not constant doubt. Commitment. You act daily, not occasionally. Coherence. Your emotions, actions, and thoughts align. Curiosity. You remain open to how the universe delivers. Master manifestors are not necessarily the loudest or most public people. Often, they're quietly powerful. Intentional, aligned. They don't chase, they attract. They don't hustle in desperation, they move with inspiration. They're willing to hold the frequency of their vision even when the world hasn't caught up yet, because they understand a deep truth. The outer world doesn't lead the inner. The inner leads the outer. You don't manifest by sitting back and doing nothing. You manifest by becoming someone who no longer doubts the inevitability of their desires. You walk in faith. You speak in alignment. You think like the version of you who's already thriving. That it's a daily devotion, a discipline of belief, and a revolution in identity. Let the world call it crazy if it must. Let logic protest. Let your past raise its eyebrow. And still, walk forward. Speak kindly to yourself. Dress for the life you're claiming. Make decisions from your vision, not your history. Carry yourself not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. You are not becoming someone new. You are returning to the most powerful, aligned, creative version of yourself. The one who already exists inside you. The one who doesn't beg for change, but embodies it. That is the mindset of the master manifester, and it changes everything. Chapter 14. Common blocks and how to break them. If manifestation is natural, if we're born creators, built to shape our lives with thought, emotion, and intention, then why does it so often feel like it's not working? Why do some people seem to manifest effortlessly while others struggle, plateau, or give up entirely? The answer lies not in the technique, but in the blocks, internal walls, old programs running just beneath the surface. These blocks are not flaws. They are simply parts of you trying to protect you from pain, rejection, failure, or even success. But to manifest with clarity and power, you have to see them, name them, and gently but firmly release them. Let's explore the most common blocks and how to move through them. Point 1. Deep-seated limiting beliefs. The most powerful block is often the quietest, what you unconsciously believe to be true about yourself and the world. If you believe you're not worthy of love, no amount of affirmations will override that belief until you address it directly. If you think money is evil or people with wealth are selfish, you will unconsciously resist abundance because your mind is wired to keep you in integrity with your values. These beliefs usually form in childhood, shaped by parents, culture, religion, or early trauma. They hide in sentences like, "I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. People leave me. I have to work hard for everything. I'm not smart/beautiful/charismatic enough." The problem is not the desire. It's the internal conflict between what you want and what you believe you deserve. How to break it? Awareness is the first step. Begin by writing down your desires, and then listen for the resistance that rises up. What voice contradicts the dream? Whose voice is it? Question it. Challenge it. Replace it. Reprogram your mind with new beliefs through repetition, emotion, and evidence. Surround yourself with stories of people who've shattered similar beliefs. Let your nervous system learn that new realities are safe. Point 2. Fear of judgment. Many people don't manifest what they want because they're afraid of what others will think when they get it. Fear of being seen. Fear of outgrowing others. Fear of backlash. You say you want to start your dream business, but deep down, you're afraid of being laughed at by your old friends. You say you want to find love, but you're scared your family won't approve. You say you want to live fully, but you fear being too much. So you self-sabotage. You shrink. You dim your light. How to break it? Realize this. People are going to judge you no matter what. You might as well be judged for being authentic. Most judgment comes from people who aren't living their own dreams. Your life is not a democracy, it's a gift. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your growth, not those who fear it. And remember, when you live fully, you give others permission to do the same. Point 3. Attachment to the how. Manifestation breaks down when you try to control every step. The ego wants certainty. It wants guarantees. So you set a vision and then immediately try to reverse engineer every detail. But the universe rarely works in straight lines. It responds not to control, but to clarity and openness. When you're obsessed with the how, you narrow the path. You resist flow. You ignore unexpected doors. How to break it? Focus on the what and the why. Let the how unfold through action and intuition. Inspired action is essential, but it must come from alignment, not fear. Remember, your job is the direction. The universe handles the delivery. Point 4. Fear of success. This one hides well. We talk a lot about fear of failure, but fear of success is just as real. Why? Because success brings change, responsibility, visibility, risk. Your nervous system might equate success with isolation, burnout, or abandonment. So even as you ask for growth, you may subconsciously slam the brakes. How to break it? Redefine success. Make it safe. Visualize yourself thriving and support it. Remind your nervous system that success doesn't mean sacrifice. It can mean freedom, joy, and contribution. Affirm that it's safe to shine. Point 5. Inconsistency and lack of commitment. Manifestation is not a one-time effort. It's a frequency you maintain. Some people try a technique for a week, then stop. They visualize once and expect miracles. But you don't go to the gym once and expect to be fit. Manifestation requires consistency, devotion, and patience. How to break it? Create rituals. Anchor your vision into daily life. Journal. Meditate. Visualize. Feel it real. And when doubt creeps in, don't argue with it. Breathe through it. Return to your vision again and again, like a lighthouse returning to the beam. Point 6. Energy leaks. People, habits, environments. Your energy is your currency. If you're constantly drained by toxic relationships, cluttered spaces, unaligned jobs, you won't have the capacity to manifest clearly. Your signal becomes noisy. Your intuition dims. Your body tightens. How to break it? Audit your environment. Who do you spend time with? What habits no longer serve you? What spaces feel heavy? Clean house. Energetically, emotionally, physically. The clearer your field, the stronger your attraction. Point 7. Impatience and desperation. This one sneaks in after a while. You've done the vision boards. You've journaled. And still nothing. So you push harder. You beg. You despair. You try to force results. But desperation is a signal of lack, and lack attracts more lack. How to break it? Trust in divine timing. That doesn't mean passivity. It means surrender. Know that delay is not denial. That sometimes the space between desire and delivery is where you become the person who can hold the thing you're asking for. Point 8. Comparison and envy. Nothing derails manifestation faster than comparing your path to someone else's. You see their success and wonder why it hasn't happened for you. You feel behind, less than, invisible. But comparison clouds your clarity. It puts your attention on lack instead of alignment. How to break it? Celebrate others. Use their success as evidence that it's possible, not as proof that you've failed. Turn envy into inspiration. Your timeline is sacred. Your journey is your own. Each block is a mirror, not a punishment. Not a verdict, a reflection, showing you where your beliefs, emotions, or energy are misaligned. And each one, when met with compassion and courage, becomes a portal, a breakthrough point, a doorway to deeper power. To master manifestation, don't just add tools. Subtract interference. Don't just layer on affirmations. Remove distortion. Strip back the stories that never belonged to you. Quiet the noise. Heal the wound. Step into your own authority. You are not broken. You are becoming. And every block you dissolve makes your signal clearer, your energy cleaner, your path lighter. Because when the blocks fall away, what's left is who you truly are, the creator. Chapter 15. What if it works? Responsibility and reinvention. Most people are familiar with the fear of failure. They know what it feels like to dream of something and not see it happen, to feel disappointed, frustrated, stuck. But there's another fear, quieter and far more powerful, that lives beneath the surface for many, the fear of success. What if it works? What if the dream becomes reality? What if the vision comes true? At first, that sounds like a celebration. But the truth is, success comes with its own set of challenges. New identity, new expectations, new responsibility. And often, when people get close to the life they've asked for, they unconsciously pull back. Not because they don't want it, but because they've never fully considered what happens after the manifestation. Manifestation isn't just about receiving, it's about holding. It's about integrating the new reality into who you are. And that, more than anything, requires reinvention. Because when your dream arrives, you can't live it from the same level of consciousness that created the desire. You have to expand. Let's say you've always dreamed of writing a best-selling book. You manifest it. The book gets published. It lands in the hands of thousands. Now what? Now, you're not just someone with a vision. You're someone with a platform. You have readers, expectations, a responsibility to your voice. Are you ready to stand in that? Or say you've manifested love, deep, soul-aligned, beautiful connection. That love will challenge you. It will invite you to heal more deeply, to be vulnerable, to be seen. Love doesn't just arrive, it asks. Are you ready to answer? Or you manifest wealth, financial freedom, the ability to live without fear of bills or limits. That wealth will ask you, what now? Will you hoard it? Will you grow it? Will you use it for impact? Can you be a good steward of the abundance you've called in? This is the paradox few people talk about. Every fulfilled desire comes with a new assignment. And every assignment requires a version of you who's willing to rise. That's where the fear of success really comes from. Not laziness or self-sabotage, but uncertainty about who you'll have to become once the dream arrives. And so, the real question of manifestation is not, can I get what I want? But, am I willing to become the person who lives this reality? Because you don't just receive the vision, you become it. This is the moment many people shrink. They get the raise, but feel like an imposter. They meet the partner, but sabotage the intimacy. They gain visibility, but retreat into old doubts. It's not failure, it's emotional overload. The nervous system hits capacity. The identity can't hold the new frequency yet. That's why true manifestation is always coupled with self-leadership. The deeper you go into this journey, the more you will be asked to lead yourself through discomfort, expansion, growth. You'll have to make decisions before you feel ready. You'll have to say no to what you've outgrown, even if it's familiar. You'll have to let go of the version of yourself who was waiting, so you can become the one who's living. Responsibility sounds heavy, but it's sacred. It means you stop outsourcing your power. You stop waiting for someone else to decide your worth, your direction, your success. You stop asking for permission. You realize the life you've been building is not luck. It's the result of your vision, your alignment, your faith. That kind of ownership changes how you walk into a room. You stop explaining. You stop overproving. You stop hiding behind potential and start owning your presence. And here's the most beautiful part. You don't have to have it all figured out to begin living from that place. Reinvention doesn't happen all at once. It happens in micro moments. When you speak your truth instead of silencing yourself. When you say yes to something that scares you but aligns. When you set a boundary to protect your energy. When you take responsibility instead of blaming circumstances. When you walk away from what's comfortable and into what's calling you. These moments shape the container for your manifestation. They teach your body, your mind, your heart. I can hold this. And the universe responds to that readiness with more. You don't need to fear what happens if it works. You need to prepare for it, create space, get support, deepen your practices, root into the identity of someone who can receive fully without guilt, without self-doubt, without the urge to sabotage. You are not who you were when you began this journey. You've shed layers. You've shifted beliefs. You've aligned your energy. And now, what's ahead is not fantasy. It's possibility. And with possibility comes a choice. Will you rise into the version of yourself who holds the dream with grace, courage, and conviction? Will you stop apologizing for your light? Will you stop minimizing your power to fit into spaces you've outgrown? Will you own the fullness of the life you've been calling in? This is your moment. Not just to receive, but to redefine yourself in the light of your own becoming. You are not simply manifesting a new reality. You are becoming a new vessel. Chapter 16. You, the infinite, living the manifested life. There comes a moment in every seeker's journey, a quiet turning point, when the focus shifts from getting to being. From chasing manifestations to living as the manifested self. From treating life as a puzzle to be solved, to recognizing it as a field of creation that responds not just to what you ask for, but to who you are, you realize that manifestation was never just about attracting things. It was about awakening to your nature as a creator. Not occasionally, not when the moon is right or the affirmations are perfect, but in every moment, in every breath, in every thought you think and emotion you feel. This is where the game changes. You stop looking outward for proof. You stop waiting for the sign. You stop bargaining with the universe like it's some external force holding the keys. You realize, I am the key. This isn't a concept to understand. It's a way of being to embody. It's when manifestation stops being a technique and becomes a state of consciousness. It's when gratitude is no longer a tool, but your native language. When alignment is not something you try to enter, but something you live from, naturally, you become the person who no longer needs to force or chase. You attract, yes, but not from hunger. You receive, but without grasping. You hold success without clinging to it. You meet delays without panic. You surrender, not from defeat, but from deep inner trust. That's what it means to live as the manifested self, that it's not about getting every desire met instantly. It's about becoming someone who knows that they are supported, always, who walks through life not trying to fix it, but to flow with it. Someone who understands that contrast and delay and desire are all part of a deeper rhythm. And because you live that way, life responds. Opportunities feel magnetized. People feel drawn to your energy. Resources flow, not because you're lucky, but because you've stopped resisting. You're no longer living from the wound, from the scarcity, from the not enough. You're living from the infinite part of yourself. That part of you doesn't fear time. It doesn't need guarantees. It doesn't panic when things shift. It knows that IT knows you're held. It knows the future is responding to you. It knows that creation is an echo of consciousness to SO. Instead of saying, I want, you start living, I am. Instead of thinking, what if it doesn't happen? You breathe into, what if it already is? And maybe the most radical part of this level, you begin to enjoy the process. You let life surprise you. You stop micromanaging every outcome. You follow joy, not just for results, but because joy itself is alignment. You move with intuition. You pivot with grace. You say yes when it's a full-body yes, and no without guilt. You trust that even if something falls apart, it's falling into place. Living the manifested life doesn't mean you never face hardship. It means you meet hardship with presence, with power, with the unshakable knowing. I am not alone in this. I am supported. I am creating even now. Because the ultimate manifestation is not a house, a relationship, or a number in your bank account. It's this. The embodied freedom of knowing who you are. When you've become that, when you've remembered that, you are unshakable, limitless, magnetic, free. This is what the mystics meant when they said, you are the universe in motion. This is what Tesla pointed to when he said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. It's not theoretical. It's not mystical. It's you, the you who remembers, the you who creates in every word, every focus, every story you tell yourself, the you who can walk into a room and shift it, not by force, but by being fully present, the you who knows that the life you're living is not random. It's not small. It's not the result of luck or fate. That it's your mirror. And if you don't like the reflection, you shift the signal. You don't beg the mirror to change. You change your frequency. This is sovereignty. This is mastery. This is the infinite you. You no longer look for magic. You are the magic. You no longer seek validation. You are the evidence. You no longer try to control time. You create with it. And perhaps most powerfully, you begin to use your manifested life to light the path for others. Because when one person lives as their true self, free and on purpose, they don't just change their reality. They shift the field. They become a lighthouse. And that, more than anything, is what the world needs now. Not more strategies or tactics, but more embodied creators. People who live what they teach. People who radiate what they once only hoped for. People who remind others, just by being, what's possible. So take a breath. Feel that. You made it to this moment, not just as a reader of this book, but as a being awakening to your own creative power. Your future is not written. It's waiting, and the pen is in your hands. Write boldly. Live brightly. Manifest with love. You are the infinite, embodied, and this is just the beginning. Final words. Becoming a lighthouse. If you've made it here, know this. You didn't just read a book. You journeyed through ideas, through energy, through memory and future, through your own beliefs, and into your own power. You stepped into a new level of self-awareness. And now, standing at this threshold, you're not the same person who started. That was never the goal. To stay the same. That you've remembered that you are not simply someone with dreams. You are the one who shapes them into form. Not someday. Now that you've learned that manifestation is not a trick. It's not a shortcut. It's a sacred process of becoming more of who you already are. You've walked through vision, belief, emotion, action, surrender, science, spirit, and you've arrived at clarity. You are both the sculptor and the stone. You are both the creator and the creation. And now, the invitation is clear. Live it. Live what you know. Radiate what you've practiced. Become the evidence of your own alignment. Let your life speak so loudly that others remember their own power just by being near you. Become the lighthouse, not the one chasing ships, not the one shouting through storms, but the one who stands tall, grounded in purpose, shining light from within. Unshaken, certain, illuminating paths for others without needing to be followed. This world needs your light, not because it's dim, but because your clarity gives others permission to rise, to see, to remember. Wherever you go from here, carry this book inside you. Carry its frequency. Let the practices become your habits. Let the words echo in your decisions. Let the questions stay with you. Let the energy build. And if this journey moved you, if something in these pages woke up a deeper part of your knowing, I ask one thing. Share it. Pass the light. Tell someone. Leave a review. Subscribe. Hit the like button if you're listening on a platform that allows it. Share this message so that others can find their way to their own power. Because we're not meant to rise alone. We rise by lifting. We heal by shining. We remember by living fully. Together. Thank you for trusting this message, for bringing your presence, for showing up. Thank you for choosing growth. Thank you for choosing you. Now go live the manifested life, fully, boldly, brightly. You're ready. You always were.